All right, going back to Theory Thursdays, high school. So today, so for Jameson and Jack that weren't in class, and Faith if you were in class. So this is just a little update. I handed out the theory assignment in class, and I did talk to the in-person people just a little bit, but this is just so you guys who either A, want a refresher, or B, didn't know what happened in class, here you go, like regular Theory Thursday. So let's do something silly. Okay. So today we brought up the concept of my hands are covered in chalk of whole steps and half steps. This goes into why I had you learn the keyboard and what it looks like, so you can visualize some of these things better. Okay, because it's much easier to visualize things necessarily horizontally than you would on an instrument. Although it comes with time. If you practice this, it comes with time. Anywho, whole steps and half steps. All right. How, and I use this demonstration, I am just stepping on everything. Put my coin over there. Sorry. I use this demonstration in class, and what I basically told them is you are to think of the keyboard. I'm standing on my stool, so if I fall, this better be a big seller. Think now from basically my arm up, okay? You're only thinking from my arm up, okay? Whenever I have my arm like this, all of the notes are directly next to each other. You don't have to worry about any of the confusion of the black keys and the white keys, okay? So every note is right next to each other, all right? When we talked about sharps and flats, gosh, what was it, 4 weeks ago? 5 weeks? Oh. Anyway, when we talked about sharps and flats, how we remember flats is so we use B flat. Okay, so we find B and we go one note directly to the left. So this is B flat. Okay, conversely, A sharp. Okay, so for a sharp, you go one note, one key directly to the right. So we have A, and then we go one key directly to the right. Okay. And you can use that. That goes across the entire board. Okay. So then we talked about the thing called enharmonics. If you were just noticed, A sharp and B flat are enharmonics. They're the same note, just said a different way. Okay. At the end of this video, if I have time and I'm not making this video too long, I'll kind of actually explain why you use enharmonics in some scales versus why you shouldn't. Anyway, not the point of the story. We're talking about so that whole thing about going directly to the left or directly to the right, for sharp, you're making the note. We're going to the. Sorry, I'm sitting down. You're going one step. I'm gonna back up and I'm gonna try this again, and I'm gonna try and produce English words. When I say make something sharp, I say move one key to the right, all right? And conversely, when I say make something flat, I go one key to the left, all right? That one key is a half step. So when I say play G sharp, you're making G go up. You're making G sharp. You're making G go up a half step. Okay? Conversely, if I say play A flat, flat is to the left, you're making A go down a half step. Flats make a note go down a half step, which is why when I say C flat and I say go down a half step, you have B. Okay? Quick overview. Let me just define what a half step and a whole step is. I have your worksheet right here. A half step is the closest possible distance between two notes. There can be no notes in between two notes, which are separated by a half step. Okay? So that's why C to D is not a half step. Sorry. C to D is not a half step because there's the D flat C sharp key in the middle of it. Okay? Now, however, E to F is a half step because there's no key right here. There's no extra key right here. That's why E sharp, taking E a half step up, boom, is F. Conversely, F flat, taking the note a half step down, F, or to the left, F flat is E. That's a half step. Whole step, okay? Trying to figure out what a whole step is. You have a half step, put two halves together, you get a whole. But I'll read the definition anyway. A whole step is a distance between two notes such that there is one and only one. That should be bolded and underlined. A whole step is a distance between two notes such that there is one and only one note between those two notes. And then it says math. A whole step equals two half steps. Okay. So, stay there. A whole step. So we talked about half steps. All right. So let's use C for an example. There's C. There's C. What's a half step above C? Okay. Let you think about it. Let you think really hard about it. Okay, done thinking about it? A half step above C is C sharp. Okay? Or D flat. It's the enharmonic equivalent. Okay? Now, if we were to do a whole step above C, so a whole is two half steps, okay? A whole step above C, okay? Here's one half step, here's another half step. That's why I kind of say, think from here up, okay? Because then you go one half step to here, and then another half step to here. Follow it down, ta-da, you get the D, okay? Now, what is a whole step above E? What's a whole step above E? Okay, let's think about it. What's a half step above E? Boom. One note directly to the right, F. So that's half of a whole step. So now we need another step. We need another half step. What's half step above F? F sharp. So a whole step above E is F sharp. There's F sharp. I can't do this pointing because like this is weird. I'm sorry. A whole step above E is F sharp. All right. We'll help you visualize that now. Right here, from E to F, is a half step. Okay? From G to A, it's a whole step. Because you have to go boom, you have to go here to here to here. You have two half steps. Now, let's get tricky. What if we went B flat to C? B flat to C. A whole step. It's a whole step. Why? So what's a half step above B flat? B natural. What's another half step? C. Here, it's a whole step. Okay? We track it on this. This is why I had you learn the keyboard. Okay? This is why I say think basically from my arm up. All the keys as if all the keys were the same color. Okay? Think from here up. Alright? As you identify the notes with half steps and whole steps. Sorry, I'm tired. And then just for sake, they threw this in the worksheet too. They'll probably they actually have trying to trick you up with enharmonics. Make sure you know enharmonics. Your A sharp and B flat are the same. A flat and G sharp are the same. G flat and F sharp are the same. E sharp and F are the same. F flat and E are the same. D sharp and E flat are the same. D flat and C sharp are the same. B sharp and C are the same. C flat and B are the same. Some. Okay? It says on the assignment, if you come across an enharmonic, there's the answer sheet. You saw that. If you come across an enharmonic, just write E. It's E for equivalent, or it's E for enharmonic equivalent. Then it has you identify. So when you're on the third page of the assignment, or page 26, if you look at the bottom left corner, there are technically two answers. to each of these. I'm only gonna if you get one, because there are enharmonic options. So looking at exercise 2 on page 26, there are technically 2 answers. So, but you only need one of them. As long as it's one of them, you'll get the full points. Okay. Now the last page. The last page talks about the beginning of how to create major scales. Major scales. Okay? Major scales. I need you to memorize this pattern. Eesh, that was loud. I'm sorry. Yeah. I have to stand up. Okay? Let's make that look more like an H. Need you to memorize this pattern. This is how major scales are made. Okay? And I'll go over that in a second. But the pattern is whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. Okay? Sorry. So, now, let's put that pattern into practice. So, for example, let's take the C major scale. Okay, luckily for you, I have all the note names up here. All right, so we start with C. This is our starting point. Okay, to find the next note in the C major scale, you need to go up a whole step. So what's a whole step above C? Okay, ready? Bam, bam, half step, half step. That makes a whole step. So, whole step. All right? Now we need to go up another whole step, right? That's the next thing in the pattern, right? Another whole step, all right? Bam, bam, there's another whole step. So now we go to here. Here's another whole step, okay? Okay, now we have a half step, okay? Look at that, boom, bam, right there. E to F, there's your half step, okay? Keep going along. Now we have another whole step. Bam, bam. Whole step. Another whole step. Bam, bam. Whole step. We have another whole step. Bam, bam. Another whole step. And then the last thing is a half step. Bam, bam. How we make major scales, how American / English / old time major scales are made off of this pattern of half steps and whole steps. Memorize this pattern. Okay? Memorize this pattern for major scales. You need this pattern. Okay? Okay, so that was the C scale. That was the C major scale. Okay? Plus I even gave you the note names. Okay? We're going to do something different. Let's try the ever so beloved B flat scale. Okay? Okay? So, first off, we need to find B flat. Okay? Here's C. What comes before C? B. We need to play B flat. So we go a half step lower, because a flat is a half step lower. So here's B. So we go a half step. So here's B flat. Here's our starting point. Okay? Now, we plug in our formula here. Okay? What's a whole step above B flat? Boom, boom. whole step. All right? We need another whole step. Okay, what's a whole step above C? Boom, boom. Now, we need a half step. Half step. So we have gone B flat, C, D, and now we're at E flat. All right? Now we've done this. Now we need to go here. Now we need another whole step. Ready? Bam, bam. Now we go to. Here's another whole step. That's too far. That's going to be confusing. I'm sorry. That's another whole step. F, B flat, C, D, E flat, F. Okay, now we need another whole step. Boom sauce. Here's another whole step. Ready? Bam, bam. B flat, C, D, E flat, F, G. All right? Now we need another whole step. Half step, half step. B flat, C, D, E flat, F, G, A, and now we need another half step. What comes next? If you know octaves, so what comes after the eighth note, it repeats itself, it's B flat. So then we need another half step. That works for all major scales. All 8-note major scales, this pattern is how you get to them. Whole note, whole, half, whole, half. Okay? That's how this works. That's how major scales are broken down and formed. All right? So, I'm going to ask you to pause the video. Because I want you to practice this. And some of you are going to practice it, and I applaud you, and some of you that are not, try. Because sometimes the best teacher is actually getting it wrong and failing. So that way you can learn what not to do. Okay? So, pause the video and try plugging in this pattern and having the keyboard here and create for me the E major scale.